On the night of March 24th, 2023, Rolling Fork, Mississippi, faced a storm unlike anything in its history. The skies darkened ominously as an EF4 tornado began forming over open farmland to the west. Families went about their evening routines, unaware that destruction was heading straight for them. Children played in yards, pets slept in their owners' arms, and neighbors chatted, oblivious to the catastrophe approaching. Residents hunkered down, unsure which structures might survive, knowing the EF4 could flatten nearly everything in its path. In the next moments, the tornado would strike with unmatched fury, leaving nothing unchanged. 1. A town oblivious. The morning of March 24th began quietly in Rolling Fork, a small town in the Mississippi Delta. Schools opened, local businesses welcomed customers, and residents followed familiar routines. Birds chirped, dogs barked, and the sun cast a warm glow over the streets. Few could sense the brewing storm, though meteorologists had been tracking volatile weather for hours. By mid-afternoon, clouds darkened, and the wind shifted unpredictably, tugging at trees and power lines. Locals noticed an unusual green tint in the sky, a sign of severe weather, yet many assumed the storm would bypass them. Children played outside, laughing, while parents prepared dinner, checking the sky occasionally. Farmers monitored crops and livestock, aware that the air felt heavy, but underestimating the danger. Local authorities issued tornado watches, urging residents to stay alert. Many believed Rolling Fork was too small or remote to be struck, underestimating the EF4 tornado forming nearby. As afternoon turned to evening, the storm intensified, its rotation becoming visible from the northwest. Birds and animals scattered, sensing the danger instinctively. Emergency services monitored the storm, preparing evacuation routes and shelters, yet time was slipping away. Families began moving to secure areas within homes, some improvising safe spots in closets, bathrooms, or basements. Citizens spoke to neighbors, helping one another prepare for what was coming. Though small, Rolling Fork had never faced a tornado of such magnitude. Residents had only minutes to brace for impact, unaware of the horrors approaching. By late afternoon, tension in the town was palpable. Winds whipped erratically, debris shifted across streets and yards, and electricity flickered. Radios and televisions repeated warnings, emphasizing the severity of the EF4 tornado. Families huddled together, gathering children, pets, and essentials. Businesses locked doors, schools closed early, and residents made final preparations. Emergency vehicles were on alert, but even seasoned responders felt the enormity of the storm approaching. Every gust, every flash of lightning, every rumble of thunder foreshadowed destruction beyond imagination. 2. Sirens and warnings. As the tornado neared, sirens blared across Rolling Fork, urging residents to take a shelter immediately. Radio and television broadcasts repeated urgent warnings, emphasizing the tornado's EF4 classification. Families descended into basements, storm shelters, and interior rooms, holding loved ones tightly. The tornado's winds exceeded 166 miles per hour, capable of destroying homes, tossing vehicles, and uprooting entire trees. Some attempted to drive to relatives' homes or safer areas, but debris quickly blocked roads. Police and emergency responders patrolled streets, guiding citizens to safety wherever possible. Lightning illuminated the massive, wedge-shaped tornado approaching from the northwest, its rotation visible even from afar. The roar of the storm grew deafening, shaking buildings and rattling every object inside homes. Residents clutched one another, praying desperately as debris flew past windows. Pets cried and howled, sensing imminent danger, while children trembled in their parents' arms. Seconds stretched into eternity as the tornado advanced at alarming speed, consuming everything in its path. Witnesses reported debris flying hundreds of feet into the air, trees uprooted, and power lines torn from the ground. The storm moved unpredictably, targeting homes, businesses, and open fields alike. Families huddled, whispering and praying, fully aware that survival depended on the storm passing quickly. 3. Initial destruction. The The tornado first touched the southern outskirts of Rolling Fork just after 6 p.m. Homes were flattened almost instantly. Some reduced to foundations, others entirely disintegrated. Vehicles were hurled through the air, streets littered with twisted metal and shattered glass. Trees were uprooted, their splintered remains scattered across yards and roads. Power lines collapsed, plunging neighborhoods into darkness, while gas leaks ignited fires in the chaos. Citizens in basements described the deafening roar above, louder than freight trains and jet engines combined. The EF4 carved a wide, destructive path, leaving streets unrecognizable and entire neighborhoods obliterated. Residents described being lifted, thrown, or trapped beneath rubble, clinging desperately to any survival. Emergency responders struggled to reach affected areas, blocked by debris and fallen trees. Neighborhoods disappeared within minutes, leaving citizens in shock and disbelief. Pets were injured or trapped, rescued by frantic owners navigating dangerous terrain. Witnesses described the tornado as a living, vengeful force, consuming everything in its path. Windows shattered, walls collapsed, and roofs were ripped away, exposing interiors to torrential winds and rain. The tornado moved with alarming speed, obliterating the town's heart in minutes. Streets became impassable, delaying emergency response and leaving residents to fend for themselves as best they could. 4. Heart of the town destroyed. The tornado tore through the center of Rolling Fork with merciless intensity. Homes, schools, churches, and businesses were obliterated, leaving streets buried under rubble. Vehicles were tossed, some stacked atop debris, others thrown hundreds of feet. Trees were stripped of bark, snapped, and splintered into countless fragments. Roofs were torn away, walls crumbled, and interiors of homes exposed to the storm's fury. Families huddled in basements or storm shelters, their lives reduced to minutes of sheer terror. Fires ignited from ruptured gas lines, while electrical transformers exploded, adding chaos to destruction. Emergency sirens continued, though their sound was drowned out by the tornado's roar. Residents recounted seeing entire neighborhoods erased, vehicles stacked like toys, and pets fleeing in terror. Windows, doors, and belongings were ripped from homes, carried away in the storm's path. The tornado moved relentlessly, flattening the town's core in mere minutes. Streets became unrecognizable, utility lines destroyed, and communication severed. Neighborhoods that once thrived were now wastelands of splintered wood and twisted metal. Residents clutched children, prayed, and waited, many realizing only afterward that survival had been miraculous. The tornado's path widened as it moved, devouring blocks of homes and businesses with unstoppable force. Entire families vanished, leaving behind vacant foundations and broken memories. By the time the storm moved past the town center, Rolling Fork looked like a bombed-out city. Roofs were ripped away, walls scattered, and debris piled high. Pets were lost or injured, many buried under rubble. Streets were impassable, and emergency crews struggled to navigate the chaos. Residents described feeling weightless as debris slammed against homes and basements trembled beneath the winds. The tornado had transformed the town overnight, leaving devastation that would take years to comprehend and recover from. 5. Survivor stories. Stories of survival quickly emerged, each recounting near impossible escapes. Families in basements described being lifted by the wind, debris flying past them in a blur. Parents shielded children with their bodies, pets clutched tightly, and neighbors helped one another escape collapsing structures. Many crawled from rubble hours later, injured, exhausted, and covered in dust and blood. First responders navigated dangerous streets to reach trapped citizens, often risking their lives to save others. Hospitals were overwhelmed, and makeshift triage centers were set up in schools, churches, and community halls that survived the storm. Volunteers organized rescue efforts, clearing debris and providing food, water, and emotional support to the displaced. Even amid unimaginable loss, acts of heroism and human compassion shone through. Neighbors shared blankets, food, and shelter, transforming the town into a scene of resilience amidst chaos. Survivors spoke of hearing the storm roar, feeling walls collapse, and praying for seconds that seemed like hours. Pets were rescued, families reunited, and strangers became lifelines for one another. Stories of survival became stories of courage, illustrating the unbreakable spirit of the community. 6. Emergency response. Emergency crews faced unprecedented challenges. Blocked roads, downed power lines, and debris-strewn streets slowed rescue operations. Firefighters, police, and paramedics worked alongside volunteers, navigating treacherous conditions to reach those trapped. Hospitals treated hundreds of injured, improvising care due to overwhelmed facilities. Makeshift shelters provided food, water, and temporary housing for displaced families. Helicopters surveyed the destruction, guiding rescue teams to the hardest-hit areas. Coordination among local, state, and federal agencies improved over time, though initial chaos highlighted the need for better disaster preparation. Citizens also played crucial roles, transporting supplies, helping clear debris, and comforting those in shock. The community's collective effort demonstrated resilience and courage in the face of total devastation. 7. National attention and aid. News of the tornado spread rapidly nationwide. Media outlets broadcast images of flattened streets, overturned vehicles, and devastated homes, shocking viewers across the country. Aid poured in from neighboring states, federal agencies, and humanitarian organizations. Volunteers provided food, water, medical assistance, and counseling services. Emergency funding was mobilized to repair infrastructure, rebuild homes, and restore utilities. The tornado prompted national discussions about early warning systems, building codes, and disaster preparedness. Researchers studied the storm, analyzing its trajectory, intensity, and EF4 classification to improve future forecasting. The national attention brought hope, but also the sobering realization of the storm's human and financial toll. Relief efforts continued for weeks, highlighting both the scale of destruction and the spirit of community. 8. The aftermath. Rolling Fork was left devastated. Entire neighborhoods vanished, schools and businesses flattened, and streets rendered impassable. Utilities were destroyed, leaving residents without water, electricity, or communication. Displaced families sought refuge in shelters, relying on aid from volunteers and federal agencies. Debris covered every inch of the town, from splintered wood to twisted metal and shattered glass. Counseling services addressed trauma, survivor guilt, and grief among residents. Memorials and vigils honored those who perished in the storm. Recovery began slowly, with neighbors clearing streets, rebuilding homes, and restoring essential services. Months passed before normalcy returned, yet the scars, both physical and emotional, remained. The town's story became one of resilience, hope, and determination, even in the face of unimaginable loss. 9. Lessons learned. The tornado highlighted the critical importance of preparedness, storm-resistant infrastructure, and community solidarity. Municipalities updated building codes, incorporating stronger construction standards to withstand high winds. Early warning systems, siren networks, and emergency protocols were reinforced. Schools and public spaces created storm shelters and conducted regular drills. Meteorologists refined forecasting methods, using the tornado's data to improve prediction models. Communities learned the necessity of coordination between local authorities, federal agencies, and citizens. Public awareness campaigns emphasized preparedness, evacuation plans, and the value of storm shelters. The disaster served as a blueprint for improving disaster response nationwide. These lessons ensured that future tornadoes would be met with better protection and greater resilience. 10. A town rebuilt. Years later, Rolling Fork has risen from the ruins. Homes, schools, and businesses were reconstructed stronger, designed to withstand future storms. streets were cleared, utilities restored, and emergency systems upgraded. Memorials honor those lost, keeping memories alive while providing closure for survivors. Community programs focus on disaster, preparedness, mental health support, and rebuilding resilience. Residents share stories of survival, blending grief with hope and courage. Rolling Fork stands as a testament to human strength, determination, and unity. The town, though scarred, thrives once more, proving that even after catastrophic loss, communities can rebuild, recover, and grow. The Rolling Fork EF4 tornado was more than a storm. It was a night of unimaginable destruction, loss, and courage. Lives were forever changed, a town decimated, yet the community endured, rebuilt, and emerged stronger. If this story moved you, like this video, share it to honor those affected, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful documentaries on disasters that shaped history. Together, we remember, we learn, and we prepare for the future.